Hello, Black people and cryptocurrency. We're going to start doing some live streaming. We're going to do it at least maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, until we get some type of programming going on. Essentially, we want to reach out in person once a week and tackle an issue that affects our community. I'm Deidra McIntyre, and I started this group basically after completing a project that required me to research the founding of Bitcoin and research how it was being rolled out in terms of individuals participating and businesses participating, and just getting a clear sense of what it was. And today, I actually put the topic within the comment, the topic. See if you can see it there. I don't know if it's going to be backwards, but the topic is buying Bitcoin requires no MLMs. The other day when I put a post up that said, what is something that you want to talk about in terms of if we have some live streams, what will we want to talk about? How about talking about how you actually get Bitcoin, because something that's affecting our community greatly, and just people around the world, not just Black people, but people around the world, is that they have this misconception that in order for you to have Bitcoin, you have to participate in a multi-level marketing group, or you're buying in and you're making a monthly payment and you have to get other people in order to make more Bitcoin. And that's kind of a misnomer. It's actually the antithesis of what's needed to participate in Bitcoin. Bitcoin was developed as peer-to-peer. So, I'm here in New Jersey, and somebody else, some guy named Sam, is in Jamaica, and for whatever reason, I need to send him some monetary unit or something like that. So the objective was that, I could send a monetary unit directly to Sam without the need of a bank, without the need of a oversight or even an exchange. Even though people use exchanges, I'm able to send him currency or her currency without the need of a third party. That's the gist of it. So the gist of actually getting Bitcoin is the same. I could get it from Sam if I didn't have it. He could gift it to me. We could do some other type of exchange, some other type of trade, and I actually quote unquote purchase it. Or even someone in your neighborhood. So the gist of this was kind of to put an end to that notion that in order for you to have Bitcoin, that you have to pay a monthly fee to anybody, or that you have to recruit other people. Now, does Bitcoin's value rise as more people are using it as a currency? It does, but it's not required. You could be a hermit, in Colorado or something, and you don't like dealing with people, you don't like dealing with family members, and you can still get Bitcoin. You can get it by a number of means, and we're gonna actually talk about that as well. If you're on the stream, make a comment. So if you want to say something or indicate a question. My friend Bob Ponce, who is basically the silent person behind the genesis of this group, should be joining soon. As I said earlier, how I came in to do this project was more than a year ago. It's not that I heard about Bitcoin a year ago. I didn't. I heard about it several years ago. I just ignored it. Just kind of like, a great equivalent is online gaming, and it exists, but unless you're a gamer, you don't know the ins and outs of how it exists or who's participating and who's playing virtually. So Bitcoin was something I knew from the founding, that when it started, I just didn't really pay any attention to it. I was comfortable in my zone, getting, by the way, I do web development and design, project manager, essentially. After spending many years working for .com and coming out of actually the journalism end of things. So I was comfortable just having clients saying, okay, you want to do e-commerce, let's use Stripe, or let's use PayPal, or let's use some traditional, well, not even traditional, these were the new processors options for them to, if they were selling something or collecting donations. So to pay attention to Bitcoin seemed kind of like, you know, I don't know about this, you know, another currency that's not a fiat currency, such as the dollar or the euro or any other type of fiat currency. To tell people to use Bitcoin, wasn't really paying attention. So even though I knew in the back of my mind it was going up, it wasn't something that I said, okay, I can look at in terms of introducing a client to, or even myself. So a year ago, I was approached by I've been in the .com space since, I don't know, 94, 95. This is before the web development, when we were dealing with online bulletin boards and all kinds of things like that. I had actually worked for an educational software company on Long Island. I'm originally from Long Island, live in New Jersey now for a number of years, but essentially was working for a software development company, and they were using creating different interactive products, and I was producing for that company. So I knew how to basically sign telnet whatever to a bulletin board, and look for a specific piece of software that helped them to do whatever their product was that they were doing. So I was aware of the internet kind of before the web, and as services like AOL and CompuServe were in their heyday as these glorified bulletin boards that had an additional gateway to what was the internet. So by the time the website browser and stuff launched, then I had developed an interest in learning about that medium, and I took some classes, free ones, and then started producing for the web. And then a long time before Facebook, I think, it's without a doubt that Facebook is the top social media brand out of the early 90s. But essentially, before Facebook, what the movie Social Media doesn't really tell you is that, before Facebook and MySpace, there was GeoCities, iVillage, which was the women's network. There was theglobe.com, and then I worked for theglobe.com as a production manager. And then shortly after that, you had Omar Warshaw hit the scene, and he basically brought in Black Planet, Asian Avenue, and all something. And then things started really gearing up. And then eventually, at that time, you also had MySpace come out of that ilk, and then Facebook was born out of that. And so Facebook obviously has had the staying power. So, been in the kind of realm of quote unquote new media and social media before they were called either. They were called online communities. So essentially out of that space, at one time I had a kind of a non-for-profit in New York City. It was called Red Ibis, which is kind of like my like a personal brand. Basically, it was a social group to kind of get together and talk about how do we pull more people of color into the space. And I had a mailing list. It was called the Dime List. It was, I don't know if anybody remembers e-groups, or e-groups became Yahoo groups. Anyway, it was a kind of like a forum like this in which we talked about what was going on in the tech sector. And out of that, I met Bob Ponce, who at the time Bob was... I see you, Daniel. I need a better understanding of ICOs and their function. We'll definitely touch on that today. We're not going to keep the video very long. Probably going to go for about 30 minutes. I'm just kind of waiting for Bob to get in on the call so we can get with the topic. The topic of today is really going to be about not needing MLMs, but we'll do a future show on that, but we'll touch on it again. So thanks for posting that. Essentially, I started this group, and the core New York people, Bob Ponce at the time was president of the Worldwide Web Artists Consortium, or WAC. Now at the time, what WAC was to Silicon Alley, which was New York City's thematic name of the tech companies coming out of New York City. We were always behind the valley on the West Coast, but essentially we were basically the online community hub, because iVillage, theglobe.com, they were all kind of within blocks of one another in that kind of Flatiron district. So I knew people virtually, just kind of like I know people virtually here, like the admins in this group, Taiwan and Kelvin. I've never met them, but I've known them for years in other forums. So it was kind of one of those things that the people that were in New York, Bob Ponce being the president of WAC, and you get bold when you're behind a computer screen. And I remember my first email I ever sent to him was, "How the heck did you become president of that lily white male organization?" Because here, you got black guy that's the president. And if you've ever been to a WAC event when you were in New York City, not only did I stand out as a black female, I think the only other black female was Evelyn Archer that I saw there in a meeting, and she has since passed. But and I immediately gravitated to her because I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" That space was definitely the meat and potatoes of the developers. It wasn't the business side. It was the systems admins. It was the programmers. It was the database engineers. And the other black person was Omar Warshaw. And Omar Warshaw, before he had Black Planet, had New York Online. So Omar was like on the dais, talking, because New York Online was like the first kind of bulletin board system that was, created that people were talking, exchanging information on and stuff like that. And Bob was the coordinator doing all the interviews, and then he also had his own webcasting kind of radio station where he was interviewing everybody, all the heavy hitters. And it was through Bob that I really realized who in technology was black. I think those of us who were in that kind of first bubble of tech companies that came out, first web ventures, one of the things that annoyed us tremendously was the fact that quote unquote mainstream, and the tech space is to blame for this too, we're not covering and not revealing who was black and who was not. I mean, we'd still be using IP address if it were not for Emmett McHenry, who basically was the first person that founded Network Solutions that made you have a .com name that was word-based. We probably wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have this streaming ability, and definitely wouldn't have YouTube if it weren't for the chief scientist who was at Macromedia at the time that created the lingo language, and that was I think it was Henry Thompson, John Henry Thompson. I think it was his full name, because there's two John Thompsons. The other one was Semantic and was kind of executive in the security realm, but there's another one with the same name that was doing made lingo, which makes computerized video possible. And then you have the Bayesian, half Canadian. He lives up in Canada, Alan Emtage. Before there was, a Yahoo, a Google, a Alta Vista, any of the web-based search engines, there was Archie, which was, search engine for the internet before the web. And so all those who created the ventures that were doing web-based search engines were using Alan's technology that he had created for searching the kind of pre-web functionality. And he's also black. So, here we are, fast forward, now we're in 2017, and we're finding ourselves in the same predicament if we don't talk about our own, or we don't talk about what's going on in terms of the Caribbean as it relates to blockchain, or as it relates to, African countries, or, Black America or Black Canadians. There's also a Canadian group that I'm a part of. There's a public group, and I see they're trying to get some things going on over there. If we don't talk about and follow and network with each other, we're going to find ourselves on the outs again, because it's going to be the same scenario again. They didn't cover when we were in the space, and developing in the space and contributing to the space. So we can't expect them to do the same thing when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So while it may seem that for the majority of the time we're talking about companies and products and things like that, let me see if I can join Bob in. Let's see. If I know how to do this. If we see that we can, let's see, I don't want to hit finish. Sorry about that. Bob, I'm trying to work it out. I saw that you joined the feed. I'm trying to figure out how to add you to the list. Let's see if we can go to. Yep, that's not working either. That's my. I'm in my computer space right now. I'm gonna see if I can. It's a little bit more difficult than I thought because I don't recognize the icons. So we're waiting for Bob so we can get started with the topic. Then I can see Bob is watching. Then I'm trying to figure out if any of you that are in the stream know how to add a person to a live stream, let me know. Let's try this. Let's click Bob and let's go. Okay, I see it now. Adding Bob, and then we can get started with the topic. I kind of lost the comments for a minute. Um, hey, Bob, can you hear me? What's up? Can you hear me? Hey, Bob, can you hear me?
Okay. How you
All right,
doing?
we're in.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. I've been stalling for time. Let me try to get rid of the glare that's coming from my side door. But basically just giving some background
Okay.
information on myself, a little bit on you, on how we met, in terms of the early days of the web and social media, and you doing a lot of interviewing a lot of Black people that were in the initial post World Wide Web boom. And then kind of fast forwarding to now as to how this group got started. Basically, I got mad at a certain situation involving Peter Thiel and in the current race climate that we're in, and the fact that
Hmm.
in terms of real heavy hitting business inroads that we have not have strong ventures of our own to turn to, whether they're in the United States or in the Caribbean or in Africa, that we can say that we have an issue. All we're doing essentially is boycotting, but we can't really flip our dollars as much as we should be able to be able to support a lot of financial sector providers. And Bob, it was basically like, I need you to work on a project for me to do some research on Bitcoin. And I was kind of like, yeah, okay, I kind of know it, but I don't really know anything about it. And so it initiated kind of a year's worth of research and figuring out where they are now in the space. And then this group was basically launched because it was like, okay, we need to have a private sector to kind of pull our people into this, even if they don't want to be, they can't say they didn't know. It took me over a year before I made my initial purchase of any type of cryptocurrency. And that was me knowing better after maybe about 3 or 4 months. So there's a digesting period, but there's definitely we're 1997, 1995, maybe 1997 World Wide Web right now, but we're dealing with cryptocurrency. So
Right. And so what it also means, we're really talking about how money is used being changed. And so it's important for people to understand this is a very, very powerful thing that's happening. And don't be dissuaded by, when Jamie Dimon, the head of Chase Bank, comes out and says it's all a scam and it's all this, that, and the other. Not to listen to that, because banks have a vested interest in cryptocurrency not really becoming as big as it's going to be, because there's a lot of what's going to happen in the cryptocurrency space that's going to disrupt the banks, who've held control over what we use as money. And so, a lot of it is about, going back to understand that the concept of what money really is and how it works. It started out as there was gold behind it and it had a certain value. But the money that we use today is entirely created by the banks, and it's not really backed by anything other than that they say that it's there. So the things that they say about why cryptocurrency is bad is actually the same things that really apply to regular money. It's just a different person and a different way of controlling the supply and availability of the money. So
I can.
so
Yeah, I'm
for
looking
all
at
of us,
I'm looking
yeah,
at
go ahead.
the feed. I wanted to touch on, even though it wasn't our topic for today, our topic today is really to focus on MLMs and
Hmm.
how you don't need them to actually buy cryptocurrency. But I did want to address Daniel Bergsteiner had a question. Is I need a better understanding of ICOs and their function. And I think a simple way of understanding ICOs is if you understand crowdfunding and its function. Crowdfunding is not even that old. You're talking about going about 5 years, maybe tops. But essentially, it allowed people to come to the table with either a business idea, non for profit, or personal thing, and ask for people to donate. I mean, I'm doing a crowdfunding thing now loosely with my birthday just because Facebook threw it in my face. It was like, do you want to tell people about a charity that you would like them if they want to give you a donation for your birthday? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I picked something that was connected to what I also do, something else that I do for a living, which involves water filtration. So if you understand that crowdfunding attracts businesses as well as individuals who are soliciting people they know and they don't know to give a gift of money that's similar to ICOs. I mean, basically, people are using these ICOs because they have a business plan or a business group or team, and they want to put something to the market using blockchain or using specifically Bitcoin or some of the other cryptocurrencies, but they don't have the money to do it. So what they're doing is saying we're allowing you to buy the currency we're going to use for our service that we're offering or our function, whatever we're doing. We're allowing you to buy it early. It's not worth. We're not saying it's really worth anything now, but our plan is that it should be worth a whole lot more. So let you buy it on the cheap, and they give a lot of people to buy into these coins on the cheap, but they're using it as investment capital. And there's many different ways that they can use it as investment capital. A lot of them have these escrows that kind of dole out money in increments every couple of years. So they get a lump up front, and then maybe 5 years down the road, if they meet certain objectives of their business plan, they get another lump, and then it would. So it's kind of like also like angel investing as well. Obviously, they don't have to pay you back if their business doesn't turn into anything. Essentially, you basically invested in a flop, and someone ran off with your money. You don't really know that, but in many ways, this also ties into our topic because even though it's about understanding ICOs, that also goes towards the MLM type situation. You have to understand, you know, if you're going to participate, if you want Bitcoin, the basic way to get Bitcoin is to get some software called the wallet. Those are free. All a wallet is essentially a bank account, your own personal bank account. So not a bank account at a bank. It's more like a safe deposit box. Now, whether you want that safe deposit box to run on your mobile phone, or you want it to run on your desktop computer, or you want to have a separate hard drive device, or so at least those three are the major three ways to have a quote unquote wallet. You can look for companies that are providing those type of wallets. So you can, you have an Android phone, search out, Google Play and find out what the ratings are and what the features are and figure out which one works for you and does it support the coins that you want to support. So, 9 times out of 10, 100%, most wallets support Bitcoin. But you have to read. You have to read that. Somebody might have a wallet that only supports a specific alternative coin. So you're not going to get that and try to put Bitcoin on it. It's not going to work. So you need to look at, the reviews and on what platform you want it on. Do you want it on your home desktop computer? Do you want it on your mobile devices, or do you want to just buy the separate, like Nano Ledger, buy the separate hard drive that you just plug in when you need to do some transacting? You have to have whatever the case, you have to have the wallet first. And don't be confused. Exchange wallets are not what I'm talking about. And talking about, basically the true wallets. The exchange wallets now, you're talking about, okay, once you have a wallet, you can get Bitcoin a number of ways. You can search a website for Bitcoin ATMs, and you can go with your fiat, and those fees can range anywhere from 11 to 20%, usually on par at 20% fees. So the fees are high. But basically, it's just you walking into that usually gas station location. That's why I went, a gas station location, and then having your account information, because you have to have that's the reason why you have to get the wallet first. You have to have your account information, and then basically putting your money in and following the instructions and having the cryptocurrency sent to your wallet. The other way of getting it is joining an exchange in which you use online payment to buy the card. Now you need a wallet there as well, but now you have two wallets. You have your exchange wallet. Now you might keep some funds there, but not all your funds there, because everybody's got a wallet there. So it basically back to a central location like a bank. All the hacks that have ever been related to Bitcoin have been at the exchange level. Well, not all of them, but most of them have been at that exchange level of people breaking into places similar to Coinbase. So Mt. Gox was an exchange in China that was hacked, and people had their stuff. So that's why they say don't leave your money. That's not your wallet. You have a wallet in exchange. You only leave just enough in there to do the business that you want to do, whether it's, buying different cryptocurrencies and trading for a day. But once you have a set amount that you like, I know I want to say that you're pulling it back and putting it in your personal wallet, wherever that may be, whether it's on your mobile device or your desktop or whatever. So we talked about, buying coins from ATM, opening up an exchange wallet. For the US, it's usually Coinbase is the major one. Other people around the world have different types of wallets. We have, I think United States just got dumped by, I think it's called Bitfinex. Somebody comment if you know the name of it, because I don't want to stop the search right now. But there was a wallet as of August of this year that we can no longer participate in due to our laws in terms of the U.S. We're also locked out of a number of ICOs that are occurring that involve gambling and things like that, because European laws and Asian laws are different with that. And we're locked out in terms of our being able to buy into those initial coin offerings. So those are two ways. Another website is Local Bitcoins. Local Bitcoins allows you to open up an account and basically search based on your zip code. If there's somebody in the neighborhood you want to meet at a local Target or coffee shop, and like I got $25 and they're willing to, you find out online if they're willing to give you the value minus of some type of fee that they're going to put forward that you can agree upon. You can meet someone somewhere and get Bitcoin directly from the person. But Local Bitcoins makes it so that you don't necessarily have to meet people. Also, you can they have people that you can mail to in Idaho, or you can use buy gift cards with cash. So buy Amazon gift card and send them the e-gift card, and once they value something is there, then they'll send you back the Bitcoin value minus the fees. So Local Bitcoin is kind of like a marketplace of a range of different ways that you can get Bitcoin. So no, mind you, none of these places I'm mentioning involve any MLMs. I think the person that gave us the topic, she's probably working right now, Mahaley. And we know Mahaley going way back. She was in North Jersey and very much into marketing and education and things like that. But essentially, she was under the guidance that, we need to get people into Bitcoin. We need to start an MLM. You don't need to start an MLM. All I need to do is give you the information and you can go on without me. So I don't know if Bob, you had anything you wanted to add to that.
Well, just that the thing that people need to understand is that because Bitcoin is digital, every time you involve another entity between you and the Bitcoin, you're taking a risk that that entity is actually the one holding your Bitcoin, and so you're going on, you're relying on the trust that they will actually, take care of your Bitcoin. So in that respect, you do the same thing with a bank, but you know that Chase Manhattan Bank, Chase Bank or Citibank, they're not going anywhere with your money because they're highly regulated. You know where they are. There are a whole set of controls that if you go and take your money to Citibank and you give it there, you have a high degree of confidence that if you come back tomorrow, your money is still going to be there. When you start to get into Bitcoin and you're getting into something that is brand new, and then somebody comes up with a new entity that's the MLM and saying, we'll buy the Bitcoin for you, without knowing who that entity is, you're basically trusting that entity to hold your money. And if you don't really know that entity, there is a risk that you can put your money in and at some point in time your money disappears and there's really no recourse, because Bitcoin is digitally, it's like cash. Once it gets transferred, it's no longer yours. So it's really, it's worth it to take the time to learn it. There are parts of it that there's a complexity to it, but it's worthwhile to take the time and learn things. And you can start out with small amounts, but you're better off experimenting and learning on your own how to manage your own Bitcoin than just jumping on somebody else's bandwagon and you don't know where the wagon is going. And you don't know if the wagon's going to drop you off somewhere and leave you high and dry. And it happens. It's real. As Deidra said, there have been very, very large exchanges that have gone belly up and the Bitcoin disappeared and nobody knows where it is. And then there's a lot of litigation, but this is a global phenomenon. So where your Bitcoin can go anywhere in the world very, very quickly. So if you're dealing with an entity that you don't really know and is not sure about, but you're just getting on it because somebody told you about it, and you keep going back and no one's actually done due diligence for the company. And then the other thing is just about how MLMs work in general. MLMs always have a lot of headroom to pay off all the different levels. And so the idea is if Bitcoin goes up in value, you're not going to see all that value for what you put in, because MLMs are set up to support the operation of the MLM. So they're designed to make a few people a lot of money, but it's ultimately a very inefficient way to invest money. And so what's happened is right now, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are the hot thing. And they're hot because people have seen tremendous run-ups in recent years. When I first started when I first heard about Bitcoin, it was less than 50 cents a Bitcoin. And I didn't get in immediately. And then I saw it run up. And then I got in, my first time I bought in about $5. And then, then after that it was $30. And then it ran up and now it's, like $5,000. I bought and sold. So I can't say that I took Bitcoin from 5 to 5,000, because it is, I wish I could have said I did that, but it had a run up, and then for a while it traded sideways for a while. It kind of went up and went down and went back up. And so I made 10 times on my money and I was happy, but I sold some that if I was, wow, if I had just held on to it today, I'd be I'd be very, very happy man. Not that I'm not
Yeah.
still happy, but I'd be happier. So the thing is, but I learned, and the whole thing is that this is even as much as it's run up, we're still talking about the beginning because Bitcoin was the first one, and now we have a whole plethora of cryptocurrencies, and then there's there's more things surrounding the blockchain technology that it's based on that is going to change the fundamental way that a lot of businesses transacted. So it's really important when Deidra says that this is like 1995 internet, when you had a website and we didn't have streaming, and we didn't have connecting the databases and online commerce and all these things. All these things came shortly thereafter. And so we're at the same place with cryptocurrencies, is that we've just seen the first iterations of it in the second iteration, but there are a lot of things coming down the pike that are going to fundamentally change a lot of things. And we wanted to just sound the alarm. This is something that's worthwhile to take the time to learn and be ahead of the curve, not behind the curve. But if you're going to learn it, don't don't cripple yourself by going through an MLM that's not really telling you or showing you exactly what's being done. You're just giving your money to somebody else, and you're basically they're learning on your dime, which is not really a good way to go.
Yeah, if you're going to do this, you definitely take the time to just do it yourself as a loner. I mean, my recommendation is do as a loner and then figure out, there are these things called multi-signature or multi-sig wallets. And they're basically designed for people, hopefully, that know each other and trust each other, but you don't really have to have that much trust. People to essentially come together and uh, uh, pool their funds to conduct business, or whatever they want to do with the cryptocurrency. But essentially, if you don't know the basics, if you don't know that there are Bitcoin ATMs, and that the fee that you would pay on that Bitcoin ATM is still lower than what you're going to be paying in a monthly to do an MLM. Or if you didn't want to do that route, you can go to local Bitcoin and figure out the best way to do, whether you want to do a PayPal transaction, you want to buy somebody a gift card and send them the digital current, or you want to meet somebody at your local Target who has Bitcoin and is willing to exchange it for fiat. You can do all that. And then beyond that, you can go to Coinbase, which is basically the IBM of exchanges for US people. And then we have to be wary of this also, that we definitely need more exchanges. You don't want, I mean, it's like having, the exchanges in a way, because they seem to be the most simple for people to comprehend. We don't want them to become the new central bank either. You want to always have multiple ways in which you can have access to the cryptocurrency that you want to buy, because that keeps, fees in checks. It keeps things running smoothly. We have to be aware that the United States is pending legislation to regulate exchanges in the U.S. This is a situation why China shut down the cryptocurrency. The Chinese government is not so much against cryptocurrency. They're trying to figure out how to regulate it, and basically that's also tipping off Japan, which is going through regulations. The United States has said also a couple of months ago, we're going to look into regulate. So once you have that regulating base, now Coinbase can't escape certain fees, even though they're trying to fight off certain things. Um, you better know some other ways to get some cryptocurrency that you can use and do peer to peer, so that your money is your money. It shouldn't be. I mean, one of the benefits of the blockchain, the whole idea of Bitcoin and the blockchain, was to eliminate fees. I want to flip to my screen for a minute, which is kind of why I live stream by phone. Let me see if I can flip it real quick. This is I'm gonna put this in the comment section of this particular. This video came out like 3 days ago. Um, it's a really good video that doesn't name any names because we haven't named any names either, but basically telling you the criteria of how do you figure out whether something is an MLM or Ponzi, versus someone really giving you access to cryptocurrency. That was a Steemit article right there, and I'm going to put it in the comment section. But essentially, you should be evaluating. What are they telling you that they're doing? They're telling you, okay, well, pay us a monthly fee or pay us what you can and get other people. That's not how you get Bitcoin. You could, like I said, you could be a hermit somewhere and just get it on your own, and it's just you. So don't stop passing around the false information that you got to join a network in order to um, invest in Bitcoin. It's a one-on-one situation. It was developed as a peer-to-peer platform in its original documentation. Peer-to-peer is one person to one person. It is not me and I join my friend and we're paying $100 a month and I get my friends to join. No, that's not how it was set up. If you want to do that, that's on you. But don't tell other people that that's not how you invest in Bitcoin. Daniel had another question. It's a comment says Coinbase seems decent enough that is USD insured. I mean,
Let
the
me
value. Right.
I want to talk about that because I've used Coinbase. I have no problems with Coinbase. So the history of Coinbase, they were funded out of Silicon Valley, and what they did is they wanted to create a bridge between cryptocurrencies and traditional banking. So they went the route of getting the banking licenses in various states and all that. And so with Coinbase, you can basically attach cryptocurrency and their wallet to your bank account. And so by that way, it makes it very easy that you can, if you want to buy, it will basically pull money out of the account you designate, kind of similar to PayPal, and it'll buy it based on that day's value, and you sell the same way. So it's just like PayPal in that it clears in a couple of days. You'll make a purchase and it'll pull it out of your bank account, and then if you make a sale, it'll put it back in that bank account. And so it is a regulated way to do it. It is a way that there is a track on it, and so if your Bitcoin goes up tremendously, it's something that there will be an IRS trail, if you will. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just understand that that's one way of doing it, and using that method. It's very, very easy to do it from from your computer, from your phone, and it's very it works. So I've used their wallet. I've used the wallet at blockchain.info. They have an online wallet you can use. There's also something called a cold wallet, where there's a method where you can take your Bitcoin and print it out on paper. And so it's basically in a way that it takes it off of your computer. And that paper is literally like currency, and that if you lose that paper, you literally will lose your Bitcoin. But it's a way to store it in a way that it's safe from being online, because one of the downsides of cryptocurrency is that if it's online and it's on a computer, there is potential for it to be hacked. And so understanding those dynamics is important going forward, because ultimately, if your Bitcoin is hacked and somebody basically gets those digits that represent your Bitcoin, then it's essentially like stealing cash. And so there are people who store all their Bitcoin or store large amounts of Bitcoin in what they call cold wallets, where they literally have the Bitcoin offline so that there's no possibility of being hacked. So these are all things that you want to learn about the process, and we encourage everybody to Deidre's been very good at posting videos that explain more about the history and how Bitcoin works. And we're going to continue to just keep our eye on all the developments It's a lot of information to process, but it's really very, very important if you take the time, like Deidra did over the last year. When I first mentioned this to me, she was like, "What? What's cryptocurrency? What's a Bitcoin?" And now she really dove deep into it and is really very expert on all manner of things happening in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think Daniel, to your follow up comment, I think what we want people to take away with is the exchange is not the only way. It's only one way of many different ways of getting Bitcoin. I think most of the original heads who were developers in Bitcoin use local Bitcoin. They don't even use the exchanges. They don't want any entity knowing about where they're getting their Bitcoin for or how much they're spending to get Bitcoin. So they'd rather meet somebody in a park somewhere or do it virtually through,
Well, I think it's more organized than the meeting in the park. I think they have just kind of group meets. I
yeah,
talked to we have a mutual friend whose name I won't share, but he is a well-renowned hacker, and so I started talking to him about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and he was just telling me about places in Brooklyn, which is where he lives, so sometimes anyway, and um, and there are places where people just get together, and you can go, and it's a room full of people, and everybody's got
bring your
Bitcoin,
cash.
and then they can just trade it face to face. Um, so that's we're telling you this so you can understand the full range of how Bitcoin operates, because the whole thing about the MLMs is that they're wowing people with, oh, this is the hottest thing. And then they're saying, come with us, but they're not really sharing with you how it operates. They're not, and there's just so much that it's just better for you to learn it now than to put your trust in the hands of someone who you most likely don't know, and you're basically relying on it because someone you knew got you into it. But I promise you, they probably haven't done due diligence on them either. So sometimes it's like the blind leading the blind.
Yeah. The only other one thing I wanted to stress, because we don't want to keep these too long. I said a half an hour. It's already been almost an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But how I evaluate things should be how other people evaluate things. And I only got my evaluation from other people. But essentially, whether you're looking at ICO or you're looking at some, you know, a service that's using cryptocurrency and whether you're going to use that service, what because it's so new and people don't have long-standing businesses, what they're looking at one, the development team. Who are the people behind it and what's their background? Can I find them on LinkedIn? Can I find them talking about their project? Who are they talking to? Are they answering any questions? So who are the people? Now sometimes you'll get ventures like Monero, the cryptocurrency Monero, which I think is well respected at this point. It's kind of like a dark web coin. You got all these usernames, but you have them being very active. So you have some that are their faces are known. They put a name behind themselves. They do some interviews, a few of them, and then you have all these these code names or pseudonyms, whatever. But when people ask them questions in the tech forums, and even as a layperson, if you don't know what's going on in tech forums, it doesn't take a technical skill to go to a company's GitHub page and see the date that they posted information, and if they done something when the first company first launched, and then it's been 8 9 months and they didn't do anything else, but they're claiming we're all gearing up, we're underway. Well, that's a sign to you that, well, how active can you be if you're not updating your GitHub page? Or if they have Twitter accounts and people are asking them direct questions and they're not responding to that. If the only interviews they give is talking marketing fluff and the interviewer is not actually not asking them things that are flat out criticisms. Well, this has come to the table that you do it. How do you respond to that? If it's just we're going to be the next thing. We're going to be the next Bitcoin. We're going to be better than Bitcoin. I can stand here and say to you, in my house, I got the Deidra coin. It's gonna be better than Bitcoin. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be for our people, for Black people. Isn't that a great coin? I made you feel all good, but I didn't tell you jack. So don't invest in my daggone coin, because you should be asking, okay, great, Deidra. Okay, well, who's working on it? Who you working with? Oh, I got my friend Bob. He's good. Da, 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 da. Okay, what are you doing? Where's your information on the GitHub page? Do you have a Slack account? Do you have this? And that's the reason why I was so hard on some of the initial posts that were being brought to the group. That we're not going to name any names, but you can go back through the thread and talking about, well, this black person is doing this. Okay, and we've been through this before. Okay, so who's on this team? I'm going to ask the same critical questions that I'm asking of the white projects that are out there or the Asian projects that are out there. I'm looking at, and I'll tell you some of the people that I find to be more objective than others. I'm looking at my computer screen right now, but I'm looking on YouTube. I'm looking to see what Box Mining is saying. What is he saying? Because he's not trying to, when he does his newscast, he's not trying to pitch me to sell me to join his thing so he can make more money. He may have, say, a link that says you can give me a donation in Bitcoin if you want to, but he's looking at things critically. I'm looking at David Hay and seeing what he's saying. I'm looking at Amir Rosick and looking what he's saying. I'm looking at Cryptographic out of Australia, it's spelled with a K, and what they're saying. So I'm looking at all these people to try to figure out what it is that they're saying, and this is my list. Now, I have people on my list that I know are promoting MLM-oriented business. I just kind of ignore that. But essentially, so the ones that I actually name by name, I know that for the most part, they're not trying to promote any type of catch to get me involved in something. And they're just going to using fluff words. It's going to be great. It's going to be great, but they're not telling me anything tangible. So you have to be critical of your analysts. And I found a lot of them that are also involved in some of the MLM things. But basically, I'm relying on the other ones that are never trying to. I mean, David Hay will flat out say, I give these free analysis because I want people to understand Bitcoin, how it works, how it can benefit them, and in the easiest way that they can join. And sure, because I'm an initial owner of Bitcoin, my stuff may go up as more people go on, but I'm not trying to get you to join the David Hay group or, the Amir Rosick group. So, it's kind of like a separation of these video bloggers who are separating themselves. Now, they may have investments of their own and stuff, but essentially they're really analyzing the properties that are coming out and saying, who's the development team? How are they updating their GitHub? What does Reddit say? Reddit, is the development community. If you have a property name and the first thing you do is you search Reddit reviews on that property name, so XYZ company Reddit reviews, and the first 15 or 20 things is scam, 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 that's a red flag should go up. Now, mind you, you can have a legit company do Reddit reviews and you might see one scam. And then two, no, it's great, it's great, great. So now you read all the forums and weigh in on yourself. Okay, well, because you're always going to have some opposition. Reddit group and the Bitcoin talk and all of them, it's a very critical group of developers out there, and some love things and some hate things. But as soon as a red flag should go up if you're searching company name and these types of forums, and the bulk of the people are yelling scam. Well, these are the people that are developing the software in the first place. So they're going to know better than a layperson what it is. So you kind of, yield back. I had a pitch the other day. Someone sent me a inbox thing on, we haven't talked about it in this group, Bitcoin faucets. These faucets allow you to do certain tasks, and then you can get smidgens of Satoshi or Bitcoin for free. And when the person sent it, first thing I did was take the company name and then do Reddit. And then they were like, basically it's okay, it's legit, it's a faucet, but the amount of hoops they want you to do to get the things, it's a waste of time, and you're really going to get aggravated, and you're not going to feel that the value of the Satoshi, which is a fraction of monetary denomination of Bitcoin, you're not going to feel that it's going to be valuable, it's going to waste your time. So I didn't partake of it. But a lot of times, when what I'm doing, I'm actually taking, because anybody could do this. If you don't use Google, use DuckDuckGo. It doesn't matter. Use a search engine and just do reviews or see what other people are saying before you make that decision to leap into what you do. And if you want to take a high risk and go with some of these high risk loaning type, MLM type things, but know what you're getting into. High risk, uh, you may get rewarded, but chances are the great bulk of people will not be rewarded. So just enjoy the ride, and at least say, well, at least I thought it was fun, but I didn't get the return that I thought I was going to get. But don't say you weren't warned. I mean, the message of this is really get across that Bitcoin itself is not an MLM and does not require a network for you to have any of the coins. And even spend any of the coins doesn't require a network. So get it out of your head that somebody's pitching you behind the scenes. Come talk to me now and join our team, and step back and make a decision and know the options on buying. Because I found it, I had been pitched several times during the year behind the scenes when people I know were not in the tech space at all, and my questions back to them were, why would I send you money when I could go to an ATM and get it at this percentage? Or why would I send you? And they don't even know. When it's a problem when the people who are supposedly the experts at these MLMs that are trying to get you to join their team, if you ask them, well, what about local Bitcoin? They don't have an answer for you because they don't even know what it is. They don't know that ATMs exist. They don't know, they don't even understand the properties of exchanges. They probably won't even know what Coinbase is. So they're asking you to join XYZ coin and such coin. It's going to be next big thing to Bitcoin or whatever, but they don't know the basics of the industry. They don't know the basics of how to get at least the Bitcoin cryptocurrency if you're not, getting Litecoin or some of the other cryptocurrencies. So all those should be red flags because somebody who's asking you to join something should be well versed and say, you know what, I decided to go with this particular company, and I do know that XYZ is ways you can get more home, but here are the benefits. They can't answer those questions, then it's probably something that you should, stay away from and just take time to study and read up and figure out what's the best way for you to get with the lowest fees. I mean, that's the whole objective of the coin in the first place, was to lower the fees lower than your bank. So if you're paying into Bitcoin and you're paying a whole bunch of extra fees with the hope of getting something later, you're doing something wrong, because you should be able to buy some type of cryptocurrency, whether the Bitcoin network is going slow, Litecoin, something you should be able to buy directly, and it happened. The first time I ever bought it, it happened within seconds. It wasn't even minutes. That thing said ding-a-ling-a-ling, and that was it. And I just decided to go to ATM route, which is not the most cost-effective route. But for me, it was the most immediate route in terms of getting cryptocurrency. And now I'm slowly looking into local Bitcoins and, trying to make a decision that when I make my next buy, just to enjoy lower fees, where can I go and do something? And it looks like Mahaley and I may link up together and do something in New Jersey. She's you probably don't know Mahaley. She is based in New Jersey with me, and she's basically marketing background, very big marketing background. So I think if we partner with her, and if you're in different areas, also partner with one another and start going to meetups. I did see that there's a Atlanta. I think Taiwan posted something about Atlanta a while ago in the group about some type of meetup there, and I saw them actually their meetup page that they've been meeting up at least twice since the summer. There's something of a similar name as ours. I don't think they call it African American and cryptocurrencies. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, but
Now,
you
is
really
there a
should be meeting in real
directory,
time.
Deidra? Is there a directory for where the Bitcoin ATMs are?
Yeah, it's called Coin. Let's see. Honestly, I always Google Bitcoin ATM, and I think it's called Coin Radar though. Let's see. Just doing a real search for it. Yeah, it's called coinatmradar.com. And when you
And
go there, let me see. Let me go to the website now. Actually, let me just flip the screen so you're not really looking over my shoulder. So I just did a big web search. Let's see. This is it. So it's Coin ATM Radar, and then should be a search box. I can't look through my phone. Well, look, you can see a map and you see how well the
Mhm.
United States is doing in terms of, you know, the East Coast, especially, California, definitely. I guess it's Las Vegas or Texas area or something like that, whatever. In terms of U.S., but here's some issues that we want to try to resolve too. This is like the whole Caribbean region, which is actually, I guess, it's probably not. It's probably Venezuela alone because Venezuela's current fiat currency has tanked. So it's probably not even covering the Caribbean. I think the Caribbean, let's see if we can zoom in. Yeah, well, the Caribbean is up. It's at 8. It was at 3 when we started the group. So it's
Mhm.
creeping up in terms of a region, but still stagnating. And it's probably in Barbados, most of the stuff anyway. No, Dominican Republic. Well, that makes sense. It's a vacation hub. I know it's not really showing it. I know that Barbados, in terms of a nation, is a little bit more advanced in terms of cryptocurrency. But look at the continent of Africa in terms of
Mhm.
AT. This is just ATM rollouts. It's not that they don't have cryptocurrency or don't have
Mhm.
exchanges. But look, compared to small Europe and Africa, you're not seeing a daggone thing. It's
Mhm.
not much better in Europe,
Mhm.
and then you jump over to Asia,
I'm
and
surprised that
obviously you got.
India doesn't really seem to have many.
You know what? They may be
Oh, really?
accessing and getting stuff by mobile technology, and that's the same situation that's probably going on with in terms of Africa. You don't necessarily have these traditional structures of ATM machines
Mhm.
general in these areas, so their access may be more mobile in terms of being able to buy and exchange for cryptocurrency. They focus on that mobile app. Uh,
Mhm.
it's supposed to be Hawaii or something like that. So once you get there, let's say we search, I don't know, we want to search Harlem. Somebody's in Harlem. So I don't know. Let me zoom out a little bit. So you got a map, but it should be some results at the bottom too.
Mhm. So, walk us through your experience of actually purchasing Bitcoin at the ATM.
I think, well, let's just find a ATM. The machines are very different. I watched a number of YouTube videos of people buying ATMs. I've even posted it to the groups of people buying ATM from ATMs, and some of them are asking for a lot of information. I'll refind it, but I know when I originally posted, I talked about the manufacturer because I looked them up. The manufacturer, the ATM that I happen to use. Well, I happen to use. I brought my wallet information, which was the QR code. For those who aren't familiar with QR codes, they're the ones that look like the square barcodes. Essentially, the long code that is associated with my wallet for receiving funds. You can repackage it as an image and have somebody scan it. And I knew I needed that for the ATM to scan it. So what I did was I just saved the picture and sent it to my phone. So just like you send any type of photo, you took a photo of your cat or something like that, and you want to have it on your
Mhm.
phone. You take that photo that you have and make sure that it's accessible by your phone gallery. So that way,
Mhm.
I went to the ATM and I just followed the instructions. I don't even remember the instruction, but eventually it has you hold that code once you've added your dollars and it's told you how much in cryptocurrency you're going to get. You hold it up and it's like a kind of like a grocery store, that kind of red light uh, barcode scanning at grocery stores when you do the checkout. So it's scanning that QR code and it tells you what it's doing, and you can actually hear it go across, especially if you have a mobile wallet. Um,
Mhm.
Essentially, and then it just says, okay, well, this is deducting the fees. This is the amount of crypto that you got. And it wasn't until I haven't used a desktop platform right now. It wasn't until I got home that I really knew that it was there. But they said it said sent already. So, and then
Mhm.
later, the particular ATM that I use, about 2 days later, I got a email message saying you have deposited, XYZ, cryptocurrency into your account. And it was funny that the delay took 2 days later because the money was there right away. The cryptocurrency was there right away, but the alert of that it was sent was delayed by a couple of days. Now, some other ones require you to carry with you some type of official ID, so some type of driver's license, and so kind of a good tip of what to expect might be to go to YouTube and search Bitcoin ATM and see different people's experiences. I didn't know mine was a simple process. Mine didn't ask me for my mobile telephone number. Some of them, but it detected it because it said I got a mobile alert also through my phone system. That's how I knew the money was there right away. But it detected my phone, so maybe it's how my phone was set up that I don't have some privacy on there. I don't know what the situation is. But so everyone's experience might be slightly different. I mean, imagine, you are going to anybody's ATM for the first time, or the first time. We're old enough to remember the first time for the most part. Most of us, unless you're in your 20s, you remember the first time that you went to when the ATMs were new, and you're looking at a screen, you're reading, you're looking at a screen, you're reading. So it depends on who's manufacturing the machines, how simple they make it. So don't be alarmed if some of them are asking some serious questions in terms of, scan your license and do this and that, because it really depends on the machine. The machine that I
Now,
went to
do they have minimums and maximums?
Yeah, they do, and you can determine that on the screen because they'll ask. The one that I used asked me how much I was going to put in, and I remember at the time I couldn't buy. I actually bought Litecoin directly. I couldn't buy because I was there with my son, so we were splitting up our cash. He has his own cryptocurrency account, and I have mine. So I couldn't buy because of the fees. I couldn't buy Bitcoin directly because it wasn't enough of the money. So we both Litecoin. So obviously is a lower amount. So and it so I deliberately went to a machine that supported Bitcoin and Litecoin. This is the other thing that ATM Coin Radar does as well. That once you get a machine, it'll tell you if it's a buy only machine, which means you're gonna buy. It's gonna accept fiat and in exchange give you the cryptocurrency. Most of them are going to be Bitcoin, but some will say it's Bitcoin and Litecoin, or it's Bitcoin and something else, or it's Bitcoin and Ether or something like that. So you have a choice of which one to buy, and some are just Bitcoin only. Right now, the coins that you can buy direct are still with fiat are still Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin. Those three. And that's probably no mistake why they always rank high on some of the exchange watch sites. But not every ATM will have Litecoin or have Ether. They're definitely going to have Bitcoin. But you can use that search engine to find near me and say, well, I want to buy Litecoin, because I actually was interested in buying Litecoin directly. I wasn't really interested in buying Bitcoin directly.
And what were the minimums for Litecoin and for Bitcoin?
I think it changes depending on what they're doing. I don't recall what they were at the time. As a matter of fact, here's the tip: I didn't know what the minimum was for Bitcoin, and so I went. We took half our money, and then we just did like $70, $60, not hardly anything. So I gave my son half the money, and I said, buy Litecoin, I think it was. You must buy Litecoin directly or whatever. And then I tried to take mine, and it told me, it was like, oh, alert, you're not really making the minimum. You have to have like $50 or something. I mean, I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't much more than what I had. If I had just used all the money, we could have bought, a percentage of Bitcoin. And people, if you're not aware, please note that you don't have to buy a one full Bitcoin. That Bitcoin breaks down to like 100 millionth of denomination. So think of, Bitcoin is the dollar, but you can have 100,000 you know, like a penny is, you know, 1/100th, but you go down to the lowest fraction, whatever. So you can, so I think at that time it was something like $50 or something like that, but I don't remember specific, but it gave me a warning. It wouldn't let me put my money in and was going to spit it out. It was like, they ask you, well, how much fiat are you going to put in there? You know, and
Hmm.
then you tell, and they'll say, no, you can't, or whatever, you know. So then when I just switched back to Litecoin and just did that, because at that time I didn't even buy a full Litecoin, and Litecoin was, so I'm losing out on Litecoin because it was 70 something, and I think now it's still trading like below 60. But I'm more of a buy and hold type person, or buy and hodl, as they say.
No, that makes a lot of sense because, and I can just tell you with my history with Bitcoin, it went with it for a while where it traded sideways for a while and then it just took off. And so the whole thing right now, I think, is about learning and experimenting. And I think that it makes more sense to find a Bitcoin ATM and put a small amount of money and buy some Bitcoin, buy some Litecoin, and start to learn that way than to go to an MLM and somebody's making a whole lot of claims, but they're not really explaining to you what or why. Because if you're not learning what the dynamics of the different cryptocurrencies are, then what's the point? Somebody else is learning. You're giving somebody else your money, and they're going to decide, you know, whether to invest into Bitcoin, Litecoin, or Ethereum, and then if they're wrong, okay, then you're wrong. If they're right, you're not going to get all the benefit anyway. So it just seems like you're going sideways to go with an MLM. The time that it takes you to investigate and figure out whether the MLM is good is time better spent investigating the actual underlying cryptocurrencies and as to whether that's something you want to invest in.
Yeah, and this is a good time to remind people that in the Black People in Cryptocurrency group, in the file section, there's a free document. It's called the Black People in Cryptocurrency Guide. It needs to be updated again, but essentially has the step-by-step instructions on how you as an individual can buy Bitcoin or some of the other cryptocurrencies, and do it by yourself, not need any type of network or even any type of exchange to uh, take your fiat and get the currency. If Just so you know that what we're doing in the group, a lot of times we're not always going over the beginnings and the basics over and over again. I mean, this video does a little bit, but you know, that file section, I'll keep replacing and adding to that document. We're trying to put it as plain English as possible, the multiple ways that you can get cryptocurrency. A free document. You don't have to pay anything or anything like that. But you know, I don't want people to get hemmed up by you know, thinking that, you know, in order to have cryptocurrency, I need to join this network and make monthly payments, and you know, I'm going to be rich. And first of all, no one, I can't even predict the market. No one can predict the market. All we can say is we hope the past is prologue. We hope the past is prologue. And the reason why we say that is because obviously there's a history of Bitcoin going from zero value to, I don't even know what it is today. It's over I know it's over $6,000.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Were there ups and downs in that? Absolutely. Did people buy it bad times versus good times? Absolutely. But you know, you need to hope that the past is prologue, and that if the past is prologue and we barely have a fraction of people that are actually into cryptocurrency, I'm sure most of your peers and friends don't have any idea of what's going on in terms of cryptocurrency. You know, as time progresses, people will use it for you know, sending friends and family money in the Caribbean. You know, maybe Western Union and the rest of them will be unheard of. Certainly, a reason why there is a boon in this is because the Caribbean and parts of Asia have been blacked out. They've never been able to really use PayPal. They've never really been able to use Stripe and because of U.S. laws, basically. And international laws has always favored Europe above every other region in the world in terms of having the lowest fees and having the opportunity to send So even, people that are in Asia that do have access to like PayPal, a lot of times it takes them longer, several days, in order to receive payment for any work that they've done. Now, Bitcoin changes all of that to at least in theory, into seconds. Once they resolve we haven't gotten to the forking, but all this forking software changes, basically, we should just call it software changes. The idea of the software changes are to make the thing run faster and back to lower fees. Once all that's resolved, it won't matter if you're sending currency around the corner or around the globe. It'll still happen within seconds and at very low to no fees, depending on the option using to send the funds to the person you want to receive them. So the basic information to get out there is that, anybody, take it upon yourself to check some people that are approaching you about, let me help you get on this Bitcoin. And I think you should start at about $100 a month. Check them, please check them, because it's ridiculous. You might as well just go to the ATM and just pay the 20% fee and know what you have.
And just you're better off find your own level. Why somebody else gives you an arbitrary level? They want you to spend $100 a month with them. Maybe you don't want to spend $100 a month. Maybe you want to just start out. I'll spend $50 and buy it and see what happens. Maybe we're going into Christmas season and buy some Bitcoin for your kids instead of a video game. Give them something that they can have it and they can learn. Experiment with it in a way that it makes sense for you, and then you'll know for yourself. And there have been many naysayers along the way. There was one guy that was very, very famous. It was some professor who back in 2014, when Bitcoin, I think when this guy came out, Bitcoin was trading in the hundreds, and he predicted that by mid 2014, Bitcoin would be trading under $10, and he got crushed. And now it's now it's over 6,000. So there have been many naysayers along the way, and those shouldn't deter you from learning and finding for yourself, because people don't know, but will say that they know, and it's better to just find out for yourself and do it at a level that is comfortable for you. That if the worst thing happens and it went to zero, which it does not look like it's going to happen, then you're okay. Well, you could have spent that money in Atlantic City or on lottery tickets. You and I, we all know somebody who spends $50 a shot on lottery tickets. You're better learning this, because this is an actual currency that people are using. It's not just a shot in the dark that maybe you will hit the lottery. It has some intrinsic value every day, and where that value will be next month, next year, we don't know yet. But it's certainly worth trying, and it's worth understanding and getting your involvement now while it's still in the early stages.
Okay, and I want to show you this real quick, because I didn't set it up the right first time I was looking at the map. Hold on, let me switch this. All right, so I'm at the coinradar.com, and it's Bitcoin ATM near me. And then there's a little box that's helps if I can spell Harlem right? So you can find, put in your region, then run the search. It's processing, and then it gives you a result based on your neighborhood. Now you could add a full address. I just did a regional address, but a lot of these mini marts, delis, or whatever, and then what you're getting. Let's see if I can turn this. Is it better? You're getting the percentage. You can't tell me I can't rotate the device, but essentially you're getting a percentage. So if we looked at Apollo, Deli, and Fruit, their manufacturer is Coin, or actually whoever supplied, it's not necessarily manufactured, Coin, BTM, It's in Harlem. They are buying between 5 and 18%. So I guess it's depending on how much they're buying. So this is not when you're buying the Bitcoin and stuff like that. It depends on, I guess, if you have a little bit amount, then your percentage is higher in terms of what your fees are, and if you're buying a lot, and then they have the minimums and maximums. Can't go beyond $10,000. So this is, that's a little unusual. I mean, I live in the suburbs, and mine is more like you can't go beyond $5,000. I guess this is New York City. So you've got some different things. So you basically go to the coinatmradar.com/Bitcoin hyphen ATM hyphen near hyphen me, and you get to the box where you can put in your address. And I live in the suburbs of New Jersey, so I was able to find one, like several. But what I did was I chose the one with the lowest fees, so I had to drive a little ways away. So, but it looks like the East Coast of the United States is doing well in terms of Bitcoin ATMs and your ability to search and find one and make a determination based on the fees or what you want to do. And I guess that's the most solitary way and somewhat familiar way to buy Bitcoin and not feel that you're doing something on your own and you're experimenting and you're learning. And like I said, I did a low cost. I think we had $70. It was $35 a piece when I split it with my son. And I just wanted, he's a teenager. I just wanted him to get an introduction to that. He's not doing anything with it. I think I actually might turn him onto some of the gaming faucets because he's a teenager and that's all he likes to do is play games anyway. So if he wants to earn a little Bitcoin, he's always impressed about how much money how much gaming money he has earned. So if he's going to tinker when he has downtime on his phone with a game, he might as well play some of the Bitcoin games that may actually result in a few Satoshi to go into his wallet. But I mean, I don't have any interest in that, but it is something to consider and think about for like younger kids. If they're wasting their time in between waiting for different events to happen, they might as well. If you're going to play a little generic phone game, you might as well play something that can earn you some Satoshi and not
Well,
lose you.
I think it's important for people to look at this because all this stuff is brand new. Kids are going to push ways of doing things that we don't even think about, but all these things create new opportunities, and the more we understand the direction things are going, the more we might be able to look at this and say, "Oh, I see an opportunity here." Because I think the whole idea of this group is let's learn about this new realm and see where are the opportunities for us to see the trends and get ahead of them to use it to create wealth. So certainly one is yes, okay, you get into a Bitcoin and this particular thing runs up. That's very nice. It's easy. But the power behind all this is much bigger. And so it's really about, going in with it, the idea, yes, there's a possibility that you could make some quick money. There's a possibility that you could lose some money in this, just like anything else. But if you learn what's going on in it, even if in a temporary basis it loses money, number one, it's like stocks. They go up, they go down. So you might get into something and you might find the value goes down, but don't panic. Go in at a level that you're comfortable because you might find that in 3 months now it's tripled in value. But looking at these other usages such as creating gameplay, creating a way to get cryptocurrency. All industries and businesses are looking at this now as a new way to do and connect with customers and transact. And so there are a lot of things that are going to change over the next few years, driven by cryptocurrencies and the blockchain technology it's based on. And the more we understand, the more you might literally see something that right now is very small and in 2 years can be $1 billion opportunity. And that means if you're at the front end of it, you can take some of that money. if you're following the trends and you're waiting until it's being talked about on the 7 o'clock news, then you're not going to take advantage. It's going to be people like us who say, all right, let's look at it, let's experiment, let's see how it works, and through that getting enough insight to tell you, okay, well, maybe there's an opportunity to use this here. How do these currencies solve a problem? Um, so I think we should probably wrap up. I think we've been on this a little
Yeah,
while.
I broke my own rule. I told Bob, I said, we had a conversation before we started. I was like, I don't want to do long videos. So hopefully this will be the first and last long video. We only wanted to touch on something for like about 30, 40 minutes tops. So the next
Hmm.
time, if you have any ideas of some future topics that you want us to focus on, definitely either leave it in the comment section of this video or the post that I made a couple of days ago about topics. Again, this topic was pulled from Mahaley, who had, kind of mistakenly thought that MLMs is the way to get people to invest in Bitcoin. It really isn't. Um, so we wanted to focus on that, and we touched on a number of different things. But surely there's a lot out there, a lot of pitfalls, but a lot of opportunity. And to realize that, Bitcoin is not just an investment. You're not just getting early on the coin to hold it or whatever. It's going to be its uses. So to really pay attention to the companies that I've been posting, whether it's Bitwage, and I'm going to get into some others. People are using the platform to solve problems, like Bob said. In our community, some major problems in the Caribbean, not being able to do business with one another. Same thing is affecting Asia as well. Asian, countries can't do business without going through a European American or Canadian bank system. So Bitcoin is essentially resolving that, as well as the countries such as Zimbabwe and Venezuela, in which the fiat currencies have completely tanked. They don't even have a fiat. So in order for them to buy bread, they need to use Bitcoin. And the fact that you in America have the opportunity to do the same thing. You can not necessarily buy Bitcoin directly, go into a Walmart, but you surely can buy a Walmart gift card with Bitcoin, which is essentially the same thing, and bring that Walmart gift card into Walmart, and then whatever the fiat exchange was, get it whatever you need to get. Not to plug Walmart, but basically any store, Target, Kohl's, Best Buy. It's like some 200 some on gift cards at eGifter alone, that you, including restaurants and everything, that you can take your cryptocurrency that may have risen as long as you've held it, or may not have, but you can actually buy tangible items with that. So definitely leave us something in the comment section about something you want us to focus on or need some clarity on. And then we're going to talk to some of the other admins, Taiwan and Kelvin, get them to start doing some shows too, because the more we educate one another, the better we are in the long run in terms of inspiring people to start developing and creating these business ideas and solving what we best know is happening in our own community. Okay?
So, are we going to do the next live one on Tuesday?
Yeah, maybe we should keep it how's Thursdays for you? You want to do Thursdays?
Thursday's okay. Just what it was. So Thursday at 10. Let's make that.
10:30 on Thursdays will be our starting time.
Okay. Okay. So
All right.
10:30. So share this video if you found it interesting. And put 10:30 next Thursday on your calendar. And if you have some ideas, leave them in the comment section. And probably before we go live, we'll be talking about what the topic will be for next Thursday.
All right. See you next week, guys. Bye.
Okay.